Mujahid's release and the release of other imprisoned Palestinians. Nabi Saleh is a village disfigured by the violence of the occupation, marked by indescribable suffering and unthinkable sacrifice. The Israeli army has fired so much tear gas over the years that some villagers have hung the empty canisters from carob trees like macabre Christmas ornaments, mangled black rubber orbs swaying in the wind. Midnight raids at gunpoint pull fathers and mothers away from their screaming children who awake suddenly from nightmares for years after. Nearly every journalist I know who has been to Nabi Saleh left the village in some way changed by what they saw. I should not have been there in Nabi Saleh on that bright winter day. Everything in my life should have led me in the exact opposite direction, to the other side of the barricades. Like many American Jews, I was raised in a traditional Jewish community, where Israel was the spiritual and geographic center of the universe. Every morning in religious day school, we sang the Israeli and American national anthems, then Daven Shacharit, the morning prayer service. We were an outpost of Israel in New Jersey's northwest Bergen County. Identification with the state of Israel was total, even if it was an Israel frozen in time, roughly the 1970s, the years of our Israeli teachers' childhoods. We observed Israeli civil holidays with an ardor we never showed for their American equivalents. On Israel's Independence Day, we marched in the town's quiet, tree-lined streets. On Israel's Memorial Day, the entire school assembled to sing maudlin songs mourning the handsome young soldiers who had given their lives for Israel, for us. We rehearsed for days to give them a proper honor. We learned we needed Israel because only a Jewish state could protect the Jews after the Holocaust. Our teachers, many of them survivors or their children, imparted to us the inhumanity of the camps, regaled us with stories of escape under impossible conditions, and stressed the importance of resistance. The doomed rebellion in the Warsaw Ghetto, the partisans camped in the Lithuanian forest. We learned that Israel not only constituted the Jewish people's rebirth out of literal ashes, but also exemplified the only reasonable response to the Holocaust's most fundamental lesson: that the Jewish people must be prepared to fight if we are to survive. On Holocaust Remembrance Day, which we observed on the Israeli date, we wore all black, affixed stickers to our shirts that said "Remember" in Hebrew, and meditated on this terrible necessity. At home, as in school, Judaism and Zionism were synonymous. I had no sense of where one ended and the other began. At lunchtime, we belted out the lines from the blessing after meals. May Jerusalem, the holy city, be rebuilt speedily in our days, and imagined not the celestial Jerusalem, but the real physical place. At home for Shabbat dinner on Friday night, my sister and I would recite the blessings over the bread and wine in our best approximation of Israeli accented Hebrew. For her bat mitzvah, we traveled to Israel so that she could read Torah at the Western Wall and prayed with our hands pressed against the ancient stone blocks, which glowed pink in the early morning sun. A few days later, a guide took us to a firing range where we learned to shoot Uzis and emerged awed by the display of Jewish power. An overly serious and earnest kid, I took this mix of religion and nationalism to heart. I relished spending much of the day speaking Hebrew, and when I got home, I fell asleep listening to long, unfashionable Israeli folk songs on cassette tapes. I proudly sported an olive green Israeli army t-shirt until holes formed in the armpits. The martial aesthetic was not coincidental. By the time I entered grade school in 2000, the cautious optimism that followed the Berlin Wall's fall in 1989 and the signing of the Oslo Accords in 1993 had largely evaporated. War seemed omnipresent. September 11th soon exploded any illusions about a